Hi everyone, it's Lindsay with High Altitude Astrology, and I'm here bringing you another video. Today it's going to be about Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces. And the chart that I have here is the day that Mercury went retrograde in Pisces, and this is on February 16th. Today is the 19th, and Mercury went retrograde at 12 degrees of Pisces, as you can see here. So what does Mercury retrograde in Pisces mean? Well, we have to understand what Mercury is about. Mercury is about our communication. It's our thinking. It's how we perceive things. It's, some say it's like it's the messenger between earth and heaven. So it can in some ways relate to our intuition, but really it comes through in a way of more of a mental process of coming to some sort of thinking and understanding. It's about sharing information. It's, some say, the connection between our head and our heart, and our ability to express, what comes from our heart. So these are all mercurial energies. Mercury does have a feeling around it of being somewhat changeable and mutable, because it does rule mutable signs, Gemini and Virgo. And so it relates to the concept of as we receive more information, as we gather more information or gather more data, it may change and alter our perspective. And so that gives it that mutable quality of being able to shift and change and take on a new understanding. Pisces is about something different than Mercury, because Mercury is connected to air and earth energy in Gemini and Virgo respectively. But Pisces is connected to water energy. It's about emotion and feeling. So it relates to compassion. It relates to sensing through our intuition. It relates to the transcendental experience of life, which is like moving beyond our own personal ego and connecting to something bigger and larger than ourselves. Pisces is related to our creative expression, as we can tap into the more subtle realms of existence and draw from that into our expression, a creative quality. So to have Mercury moving in Pisces right now, that means that our communication and our thinking and our perception can be connected more with the intuition, can be connected more with the transcendent, can be connected more to compassion, to universal love. So what happens when a planet retrogrades is that we have a period of time where it kind of can review or rewrite or rethink our connection to whatever the energy is. So in this instance, it would be in some way reconnecting with our ability to express ourselves communicatively in these Piscean ways. And maybe we'll be reviewing experiences in our lives that we are realizing we can bring a more compassionate, transcendent understanding to. What might that be? Like, seeing something through a different lens, like, oh, okay, I can see now that it's all okay. It all happened the way it was supposed to, or I can forgive. I have a, more larger perspective coming from a place of universal love that helps me accept with compassion what has occurred. That's Mercury in Pisces going through a retrograde kind of experience. I want to point out that the retrograde happens until the 9th of March. That's when Mercury then goes direct. But I want to go over a few of the aspects that Mercury makes along the way through its retrograde. So the first thing that's going to happen is that it's going to conjunct the sun, and this is on the 25th of February. It's going to conjunct the sun at 6 degrees of Pisces. So when Mercury retrograde conjuncts the sun is our light. It's how we shine our life force out into the world. In some ways, it's kind of a filter for all of these planetary energies and how they get expressed into the world around us, and how we work with the energies in order to create the world around us. So when Mercury connects with the sun in Pisces, they're both kind of talking the same language, because the sun in Pisces at this point is shining its light through these energies of compassion and transcendence and universal love and sensitivity and creativity. So with Mercury meeting up with the sun in its retrograde, in a sense, they're having a conversation. Mercury is perhaps sharing what it's been learning about its travels through Pisces and about this retrograde time. And really, this could be a time where we're able to kind of talk about or really express ourselves more. You know, maybe up until this point we've been thinking about the Mercury and Pisces retrograde energy and having understanding of it. But now, as it meets with the sun, it's now saying, and now we can express it through ourselves at this point. Then what happens is Mercury sextiles Mars. And you can see here on the 25th, we have Mercury at 6 Pisces still. And at this point, Mars has come into 6 degrees of Capricorn. And here they're in a sextile. And Mars in Capricorn is about putting our energy and our effort towards creating solid structure, solid foundation. That's what Capricorn is all about. It's about hard work. It's about effort. It's also about having personal authority. So this could be giving Mercury some strength in this Mercury retrograde and Pisces process to continue. You know, Mars and Capricorn, it's all about sustained effort and hanging in there. And it could really just be bringing some energy to our Mercury and Pisces at this time, especially if Mercury retrograde in Pisces has been bringing any confusion or bringing any uncertainty or bringing any doubt. Mars in Capricorn is sort of like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and let's do this. You know, we need to keep marching forward. So this will be a nice supportive energy at this time to help us through this Mercury in Pisces retrograde time. Then the next event that happens with Mercury along the way is that it trines the North Node, and that's on the 26th of February. And you can see the North Node is down here at 6 degrees of Cancer. And so this is a water trine because Cancer is also a water energy, so just as Pisces is a water energy. Cancer in North Node in Cancer, this is something we're all experiencing collectively. And what the North Node in Cancer is suggesting is that we're all headed really in a direction in our lives where we're aligning more with what makes us feel comfortable, what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel secure. Cancer, those are all Cancerian qualities. Cancer's about the home. Cancer's about family. Cancer's about where we've come from. And so it's that warm, nurturing energy, that experience of a child being in the womb. And so this is suggesting that collectively, we're all wanting to move in this feeling direction. And so with Mercury and Pisces trining the North Node in Cancer through this retrograde, perhaps it's saying that we can take a cue from the North Node in Pisces and Cancer energy at this time to remember where we want to head. And Mercury in Pisces blends very well with this, because Mercury in Pisces again has this ability to kind of mentally let go of the past, transcend through our spiritual practices, through our belief systems that allow us to have a larger perspective or a larger trust in something bigger than us that we believe in. So this is a nice combination during this retrograde that should bring us some support if we're able to connect with that energy of, yes, we want to feel good, we want to feel secure, we want to feel safe, and we need to move in the direction of the things in our lives that do that for us. All right, the next energy that Mercury is going to connect with is going to be a sextile to Uranus. And this is happening on the 28th. And you can see here, Uranus is at 3 degrees of Taurus. And there's Mercury at 3 degrees at this point. And here, Mercury is going to be having a conversation with Uranus. The sextile, again, is an opportunity energy, where Uranus and Taurus, this is an energy, it's going to be in Taurus for a while now, for the next 6 years or so. And this is the energy, Uranus and Taurus, it's really helping us to awaken to new values in our life. That's what Taurus is all about, the things that we value. It has a lot to do with the material things in our world that we collect in order to feel safe and secure. But there's something with Uranus being in the sign at this time that's really changing our values. It's shaking up our values in order to bring in a more divine order. It's in order to bring in a more connected energy that understands that what we value, Taurus, has to be in alignment with humanity, with being good for everyone, with not leaving anybody out. I mean, these are all Uranian features, but Uranus is also very much about being the individual in the midst of the group. And so there's an energy here too with Uranus and Taurus where we're able to kind of accept that everybody's going to have different tastes, different styles, different values, and that's okay. We don't need to be necessarily arguing about all of that. We can just kind of detach. That's very Uranian, and understand from a larger perspective that, everybody's not meant for everybody. And especially because Taurus deals with relationship also, it's ruled by Venus, the relationship energy, that this is helping us to kind of wake up to, in some ways, shaking loose from attachment to relationship that isn't necessarily in alignment with our own values. And so with Mercury in Pisces sextiling this Uranus in Taurus through this retrograde process, again, they're having a conversation, and Uranus is saying, yeah, look, there's new ways of looking at things. And Pisces is saying, okay, we'll let go. We'll mentally let go of the old ways of how we've thought about things in the past, and we'll transcend, and we'll have a very compassionate, open mind about things, not in order to sort of leave us vulnerable, but in order to really get the idea that, yes, there's new ways of looking at things, and there's also stability, that's Taurus, in accepting that everything's changing around values and relationships, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to get what we want, or that we have to adopt these really strange relationship ideas. It's just recognizing and giving everybody the space to be connected to the values and the relationships and that type of thing that they want in their own lives, and that we can swim away. That's Mercury in Pisces mentally, and not necessarily feel that we're the victim or that we have to sacrifice ourselves or anything like that if we're just not in alignment with others in that way. All right, and then through this retrograde process, Mercury is actually going to retrograde back into the sign of Aquarius. And that happens on this day. There we go. You can see it about 5:14 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Mercury is now at 29 degrees of Aquarius. And for those few days from March 4th to March 9th, Mercury will be in the air sign of Aquarius. And this will just help us to get a more, maybe more of a handle on this whole Mercury retrograde process. If there has been any uncertainty or confusion or vagueness or difficulty with boundaries and that kind of thing in our communication and our perception and our understanding, Mercury in Aquarius is really more about like, seeing a bigger picture, seeing why progress is important, why evolution is important, and gives us just a more detached perspective, not an emotional, watery perspective, but a mental air perspective that can help us really kind of assimilate what all this Mercury in retrograde in Pisces has been all about, and give us really a more grounded, because Aquarius is a fixed energy. So it's got a solidity to it in a sense. It's got a determination to it that will help us during this period of time when Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius for those 4 or 5 days, that we can kind of get more of a handle on the Mercury retrograde energy and prepare as Mercury does finally turn direct, which is on March 9th. You can see here now Mercury is direct at 28, and then it will begin to move forward, and it will move forward catching up to some of those planets that it met along its retrograde way. And if we want to take a quick look at that, we can see after Mercury goes direct, it will then go into Pisces on the 16th of March. Now again, it will meet the North Node in Cancer at 4 degrees on the 21st. It will sextile Uranus again on the 22nd in Taurus at 4 degrees. Then it will conjunct Neptune, and we didn't see that in the retrograde cycle, but that will happen early April. Mercury will conjunct Neptune, and Mercury in Pisces with Neptune in Pisces actually work rather well together, because Neptune, first of all, they're both in the same sign, and Neptune rules the sign of Pisces. So this will really help us. This will be a big sort of heart-opening energy, but really having it be able to influence our mind and allow us from a bigger perspective to really feel and understand from a compassionate place a larger order at work, or just at least a compassionate understanding about how things have happened in our lives. And this could be a little bit of like really believing in an ideal, which is great, but also just being aware that we don't want to be deluding ourselves or be creating such a fantasy around things that we can't see the reality of the big picture. But in general, this is a very creative energy, and this is a very uplifting mental energy. And then finally, like I said earlier, well, first we'll get Mercury sextiling Pluto, and then we'll get Mercury sextiling Jupiter. And that's on the 7th of April. And that's just before Mercury moves into the sign of Aries. And this could be a very positive connection between Mercury and Pluto and Mercury and Jupiter, because Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, this is all related to the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto with Jupiter nearby at the beginning of January 2020, and just a lot of the personal transformation that we're all being asked to go through at this time. And so here Mercury is in Pisces, getting a chance to meet up with Pluto, which is the energy of death and transformation. It's also the energy of focused power, and where we can really, and it's in a grounded sign of Capricorn, and this is just going to help us assist our letting go process in regards to our thinking of any sort of past energy around the foundations we've created in the past that really need to be transformed at this time. This will really help our thinking to give it sort of a boost of power, a boost of able to really transform and let go around just anything that we might be kind of holding on to out of the hopes of something that just really isn't based in reality. And then also when it meets with Jupiter, Jupiter's about expansion and growth and new perspective. And in Capricorn, again, it's this serious energy of taking responsibility, of personal authority. So this energy too, with Jupiter and Mercury connecting, is going to give Mercury a bit of a boost, I would say, to really, this is, again, looking at things from a spiritual perspective that's very much Jupiter, and that's very much Mercury in Pisces. But allowing us to really take responsibility about expanding and growing our perspective, but with a very serious, in some ways, in a serious way. This is about creating new structures and belief systems that are based in a more realistic way of looking at life. And I think Jupiter in Capricorn is going to help Mercury and give it that boost of reality that sometimes Mercury in Pisces might not always have on its own. So this has been my discussion of Mercury in Pisces. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my channel, please subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.